If you guys have been around here for any amount of time, you know that I absolutely love conditioning pieces, but my heart really lies with strength training. And so I started creating my own home gym, but it got me really thinking, like, I'm testing all of this equipment. What would a good piece of equipment look like for somebody who doesn't have a lot of space, but also loves strength training as well as conditioning pieces? And I've kind of come up with two different pieces that if we combine them, if they had a baby, I think that they could be like the ultimate machine, especially for home gym owners who don't have a lot of space. But before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you can see videos just like this one. Also, I am going to be talking about the treadmill as well as the Zebic Sled Track 6000. If you want to purchase either of those, we have placed a link below the like button. When you use that link, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does give us a small commission, and we really appreciate it when you use that link. Okay, so I am Lindsay. I'm here with Garage Gym Reviews. We're going to combine two pieces of equipment to make kind of like my dream machine. So let's start off talking about the treadmill as it is. With this treadmill, you have a deck, and it is set at an incline, but it's not motorized in any way. It's a manual deck. So the function of this is really doing more sled pushes, maybe doing some farmer's carry because of the arms that come down off of the side, but it's not like a great treadmill per se. And then you have the Zebic Sled Track 6000, which does function as a sled and does have a lot of resistance. It also has some other functions that we're going to talk about, but it is more of a treadmill. It has an incline, it's motorized, it can also do manual, but it doesn't have any sort of like the strength components that the treadmill offers. Now, there are a lot of things I like about both of these machines. There are some like minor tweaks that I would make to them, but overall, I think that both of these machines are actually like super creative, super innovative, and really good for a home gym owner because they allow you to do a lot of movements, function really well. You have your weight training, you have your cardio. I mean, it's kind of the best of both worlds, but I do think they could be a little bit better. All right, as I am talking, I'd actually love to know what you would change about these machines. If you were creating your own piece of like cardio equipment or full functioning machine, what would that look like? Definitely leave a comment below so I can kind of like skim through. Maybe we can create our own sort of like ultimate machine. I'd love to hear your ideas on it. All right, now the treadmill itself, like I said, is not motorized. It is manual, and it does come at an incline, but it doesn't have any sort of decline function. Now, when I was running on it, it's really not great for running, and that's not the intended purpose. I love running, so I want a machine that allows the ability to be able to do a lot of running on it. I like the fact that you can do a lot of farmer's carry because the arms on the side come down, you load it with plates, it gives you a lot of options, but in terms of running, it's just not great. Then we go over to the Zebic. This is a motorized treadmill. It's also a manual treadmill if you want to do the sled track function. It does come with an incline, but one thing I would definitely add is a decline function. I like doing a lot of decline, especially now I live at the end of a dead-end road, and there's about 300 feet in elevation of hills that I run on a regular basis. And one thing that I've definitely noticed that has come in handy is I've applied the decline training that I've done on a treadmill to those hills as I am going down, and it just gives me a lot more confidence. Like if you are running downhill at full force, you know that it can be a little scary if you're not used to it. So having the ability to have a decline function on a treadmill, especially if you're somebody who's going to do races that have a downhill or you want to trade different parts of your body, I mean, I think it's like an absolute must having an incline and a decline. Now, with my training that I do on a regular basis, I do a lot of sled work. It's actually one of my favorite ways to gain strength, work my heart rate without having like a hard impact to my body. I actually have the Zebic Fitness XT3 at my house, which I love. We have a long, like 500-foot driveway, allows us the ability to do a lot of sled work. However, if it's raining out, it's not good weather, like you can't use the sled. So that is why I love the Zebic, is because it does have that sled function built in. Now, one call out I do have to the Zebic, and one thing that I would like to change about my like dream machine, is offering a little bit better resistance. I think this is decent, but if I am going to create, obviously, my dream machine, I'm going to up the resistance on that because I think that, like, it is needed. Another thing that I love about the Zebic is the fact that you can do backwards walking. But the thing about it is there's no resistance to it. So I like doing backwards walking. If you're falling knees over toes, if you're following Squat University, you know how beneficial it is to do backwards walking for our knees, for overall health. But when it comes to the Zebic, there's no resistance that you can do with it. So I actually think because the handlebars are set up the way that they are, it would be really cool to be able to do backwards walking, grab onto those handlebars, add some resistance so that you're actually doing more of like a pulling motion like you would with a sled. Another thing that's kind of like a minor complaint to me, but I would definitely change, is on the Zebbix, the handlebars are staying put. Like, you can't remove them. And now when I was running on it, it wasn't like the biggest deal. I mean, I was able to run, but I was very aware that they were there. So for me, I would love the ability to be able to take those handlebars off easily with some sort of like click-in design, and then being able to put them on easily. So if you want to do sled pushes or backwards pulling, you have the ability to do that, but still like have a free and clear area while you are running. Because, you know, sure, if you're just doing like jogging and walking, the handlebars as they are not going to be that big of a deal. But if you're doing full out sprints, like, you are going to be very aware of them, especially if you're using your arms and you're pumping full force. Now, in terms of technology, what would I do differently? So obviously with the treadmill, there's no technology involved. With the Zebbix, there is a screen that does light up and it shows you your basic metrics, but it doesn't have a ton of programming involved with it. I actually don't mind that at all. I think that a lot of times, like, the technology and the extra programming just kind of drive up the cost of the machine, and I would rather just like mix all of that. I don't want like Wi-Fi, I don't want Bluetooth. I want like a simple machine that's going to show me my like simple metrics. Now, one thing I would say I would like the screen to be able to do is some sort of programming that you can program yourself. So I really love the idea of like EMOMs or intervals. If I could just have those two involved with the programming, like, I would be 100% set. But I don't need like speakers, because anytime I've tested out speakers, I wouldn't say anytime, but I would say the majority of the time I test out speakers on treadmills, they're pretty garbage. Or anytime I use a fan on a treadmill, like, it really doesn't do much. So for me, I would say like, just save the cost, put any of that extra cost that you would put into programming into the functionality of the machine, make it work really well, and then skip all of that kind of like fluffy extra stuff. Okay, so we talked a lot about like how I would like it to function with the incline decline, go up to optimal speed, have it be motorized, but also have it turn into manual mode so I can do a lot of like sled pushes and stuff. And that takes care of a lot of more like the conditioning side. But why am I bringing in the treadmill side? Well, it has arms that come off the side that you can do a ton of movements with, and it is loadable. And so I love the fact that obviously you can load up pretty heavy. One thing I really liked doing on it was like RDLs or Meadows rows or deadlift. But one thing that I noticed, if I was doing any sort of upper body movement, the handlebars ended up being like pretty wide. It was a little too wide for me to do a lot of like pressing motion or benching motions. So for me, I would like it to have some sort of maybe like pop pin function so that I can adjust the distance of the handlebar. So if you want to go really wide, you can do that. But if you want to like flip it around and go a little bit more narrow, then you have the ability to do that as well. Let's look at the treadmill that costs around $2,100, and then the Zebbix sled trap, which costs around like $4,100. That's so expensive. So honestly, what I would pay for something like this is probably in between that cost. Like, if we could hit around $3,000 and have a full functioning machine that allows you to do, again, conditioning as well as strength training, I think a fair price would be around $3,000, but again, that's just my opinion. What do you think? If you guys do want to see a full video review on either of these products, we have it over on our other channel at Garage Gym Reviews. There are links below the like button that you can check out. So overall, I mean, I think that these are two completely innovative and creative machines that would benefit any home gym owner as it is now. But I do think that if we could combine these two, change some aspects about them, they would be like the ultimate dream machine for any home gym owner. So Bells of Steel, Zebbix, I mean, let's see what you can come up with. I'd love to see it. If you have any ideas and suggestions of what you would change about these two, let us know in the comments below. This has been Lindsay with Garage Gym Reviews.